And here we're doing a brief overview of our key writers. These are the writers, or teachers if you will, that have contributed enormously to the successful lives of so very many people. Some of these writers you're familiar with and you'll recognize the names. Others you may be a bit unfamiliar with. And here's the background. James Allen. I think everyone has heard of his book, Think and Grow Rich. Excuse me. No, that's Napoleon Hill. I'll get to Hill shortly. James Allen is As a Man Thinketh. His book, As a Man Thinketh, is in multiple copies in every bookstore I've ever been in all the time. What I've done with his book is edit it and reformat it, which is what I've done for every one of these, in order to make them way more accessible and easier to understand and comprehend so that the average reader can appropriate the principles and the ideas that are being taught and put them into immediate application. Allen's book, As a Man Thinketh, I've included, but I call it As You Think. I just don't like that language, as a man thinketh. It's just a bit on the awkward side. As you think is straight and direct and to the point. James Allen was forced by financial pressures to leave an administrative assistant in several British manufacturing companies. In 1902, 9 years before his death, he retired to a life of meditation and writing. His book, As You Think, was his second but most popular book. Allen continuously affirms that we have the power to form our own character. And this is a key concept that runs through all of this material. Our power to form our own character, and thereby to create the quality of our own lives. Thought and character are one. Allen's writings show us both sides of a single coin. We are where we are today because of what we thought in our yesterdays. Likewise, our thoughts today shape our tomorrows. The point of Allen's work is to show us how to manifest our dreams. I want to mention briefly the significance of thought cannot be understated. Overstated. The Buddha made the comment that we are the constellation of our thoughts. The combination of it, the sum total of our thoughts to date, is who we are. Epictetus, the ancient Greek philosopher, said that it's what we think that counts, not our circumstances, but what we think about them that's determinative. Circumstances change. If we think about them in a certain way, then we'll feel bad and depressed and get all morbid. If we think about them in some other way, we'll be forgiving. The key is what we think. And Allen and every one of these writers dwells on that particular point on the power of thought. And I'm dwelling on it at this moment for the simple fact that we take our thoughts so for granted. We think they're inconsequential, that we can think whatever we like and it doesn't matter, that this physical reality is not going to be affected in one way or another by our thought. But that's total foolishness. Here's a simple way of demonstrating the point. How you think affects your metabolism. It affects your body. It affects your brain cells. There's no way you can think without affecting your brain cells. And obviously, think about this for a moment. If you have a bunch of negative thoughts, fearful thoughts, it's going to affect your body. And if you have a sufficient number, recurring pattern of really ugly, negative, fearful, dissatisfying thoughts, well, you're going to wind up clinically depressed, or you may even generate a physical illness. There are plenty of studies that show the relationship between how we think and our physical health. So I want to underline that point just right up front. It's key. Genevieve Barron was a student of Thomas Troward. We'll discuss Troward here shortly. And she was his only personal student. For 2 years, Genevieve Barron dedicated her life exclusively to the study of Troward's teaching. This is one-on-one mentorship. It's direct. That's the most intense kind of study you can possibly do. Thereafter, she started and ran the School of the Builders in New York City. She then spent 35 years teaching and practicing Troward's, quote, mental science, end quote. Your Invisible Power, a work of hers that's included in our study sessions, was her first and most popular book. What is more, ever since the first edition, this key book has gone through many editions as one of the world's best sellers on mental science. Barron is widely acknowledged for presenting Troward science in the clearest, most practical, and practicable manner. What that practicable, I mean, that word, it simply means most amenable to being practiced. You can convert what she says and what she teaches to practices. It makes that conversion very nicely. That's the significance of her work. Troward's work is brilliant. I've read several of his books, and it's certainly well worth reading. The beauty of Barron is she takes these things and breaks them down into the elements that we can more readily appropriate and apply. And that's the key, the application. Her book teaches the life-transforming power of visualization and other processes taught by Troward. Henry Drummond, another one of our writers, was a professor, a scientist, and a theologian. He was most influenced by Ruskin and Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson's work was the primary enduring influence. Drummond traveled the world, and he was highly regarded for his work during his lifetime and to the present day. He was a key influence on Ralph Waldo Trine, another of our writers. One of Drummond's works that I've included answers the question, what is the greatest thing in the world? He develops it very, very well and answers the question very clearly. Charles Fillmore is another one of our writings. Fillmore is really, really famous. He founded Unity Village and the Unity form of Christianity, which is now worldwide. Unity Village is about 1,300-acre community at Lee's Summit, Missouri, and it's now the world headquarters of the International Unity Communion of Churches. Fillmore wrote many books and pamphlets and initiated a radio program as well. I have one of his key works as part of this study on prosperity. It's a wonderful little piece, and we'll attack it and digest it fully. Charles F. Hannell, another one of our writers, teachers, if you will, is a self-made success. He owned several major companies. He was president of the Continental Commercial Company, the Sacramento Valley Improvement Company, and the Mexico Gold and Silver Mining Company. Hannell was also a member of the American Scientific League, the Authors League of America, the American Society of Psychical Research, the St. Louis Humane Society, and the St. Louis Chamber of Commerce. Hannell's key work, which is the second major volume in our series, is called the Master Key System. Hannell put into the Master Key System the ideas and methods he used to achieve success. It is claimed that the study of Hannell's book is what enabled virtually everyone in Silicon Valley to make their fortunes.